Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Jolena Banez, and I am your worship associate today. I'm joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, and Karen Magoon Pearson, who is our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth, in welcoming you this morning. Our minister, Reverend Sean Wiltshire, is not leading the service today, but she has a special message for you.
Hello, Roomers and Zoomers. So I'm away this week, but my spirit is with you. For those of you who are new to the church, maybe you're just checking us out or curious about Unitarian Universalism, welcome. Glad you're here. You are in for a treat. This is a wonderful, friendly, fabulous, just all-around spectacular community. I hope you can get to know them because it can be kind of tough to get to know a new community. But here's the thing, just hang in there, join in one of the activities, and before long, you'll get to know people, and then this becomes your church. Well, today we've planned a wonderful service for you, just blending music and word to bring together a helpful and hope-filled message. We hope it will feed your soul. So without further ado, let's go.
We would also like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped put this service together today. In addition, this morning, we are delighted to have Reverend Dr. Arvid Straube as our guest speaker. He was feeling under the weather a little bit last night, so to be on the safe side, he will be joining us via Zoom. Yay, technology! Reverend Straube was the lead minister of the First UU Church of San Diego. He retired in 2014 and is currently the Minister Emeritus at Eno River UU Fellowship in Durham, North Carolina. Have patience, beloved community, with the process and the miracle of satellite communication. We respectfully recognize that our church property rests on Ahachiman and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs. But we are one loving community. We are bound together, not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather a covenant. And a covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and we encourage one another in spiritual growth. We affirm that life has inherent value. All life has inherent value, and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we'd love for you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to. We begin our worship with the lighting of our chalice. This morning, I'd like to invite Marilyn Giss up here to light our chalice. She's been with this church for over 40 years. She is our faith community nurse. And as we light our chalice, let us say our unison affirmation together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together. She did very well. Please join us in singing our opening song.
Good morning, everyone. Before we sing our song, I want to just let you know that we have a guest musician today. It's a pianist that I've known since she was about 5 years old, and she is now at OCC studying piano, and her name is Taylor Cox, and she'll be presenting a couple of beautiful classical pieces for you in a little bit. So, but first, let's sing Where Do We Come From? All right, so those of you that have been around for a while know how this goes. We're going to sing all 4 parts, and then it's fruit basket upset. You get to sing whichever part you want. So it'll be an adventure. Here we go. Where do we come from? Who are we? Where are we going? One more time on that. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? right, now pick one. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we just really soft. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Last time. Where do we come from? Where are we going?
I'm so glad I could be here today. Thanks to the miracle of technology, I always enjoy being with this congregation. These are the words of Keshab Chandra Sen. Unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies that which brings peace, which seeks truth and freedom, justice in love, individual discipline in social duty, and which makes of all sects, classes, nations, and races one global community. Unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts.
Morning. Our story this morning is called The Journey of the Birds, which is inspired by the ancient epic poem, The Conference of the Birds. Once upon a time, all the birds in the land decided they needed a leader for their community. A leader, they thought, would make their community stronger. Representatives of all the bird species gathered to discuss finding a leader. A leader will tell us the right thing to do, said the robin. Our leader must be wise, said the owl. A leader must believe we are each important, big and small, said the sparrow. I want the leader to be caring, like a friend, said the dove. Yes, the leader will help us share and get along better, said the jay. The leader must make us feel safe, said the hawk. I know where you can find such a leader, said the hoopoe bird. It is the samorg, and it lives far from here. The birds were very excited. They said they were willing to go anywhere to find such a leader. It might be dangerous, said the hoopoe. Few birds looked troubled, but all the birds voted to go find the samorg. The hoopoe took off, and all the birds followed. They flew at night, they flew in the sunshine. Days and days passed. Sometimes the birds got tired and left the group. Other birds were filled with doubt. How did they know the samorg really existed? Only the hoopoe had ever heard of this bird. Some of the doubters dropped out, but others kept flying. One valley was filled with fiery mountains. All the birds were afraid. I'm too small to make it over that mountain, lamented the sparrow. No, keep flying. We can make it together. We will help you. And they did. The strong flyers helped the weaker flyers. The birds with good vision helped find food for the group. And along the journey, the birds learned how to better respect, share, and care for each other. It seemed that every bird had something special and unique to offer that made the journey easier. Finally, the hoopoe announced, "We're here!" The other birds looked around in anticipation. "Where's the samorg? We don't see it," they cried. "Come, it is over here," said the hoopoe. The birds stood beside the hoopoe and realized they were on the edge of a lake. They looked in. What do you think they saw? They saw their own reflections. Then they understood. The samorg was not another bird. The samorg was all of them, and all of them were the samorg. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. They knew now that together they could do anything. Now I'm going to light our children's chalice to take with us as we sing our children and their leaders out to our religious education classes.
I love this poem by the 20th century Unitarian Universalist minister W. Waldemar Argo. Ancient as the home is the temple. Ancient as the workbench is the altar. Ancient as the sword is the sacrificial fire. Ancient as a soldier is the priest. Older than written language is spoken prayer. Older than painting is the thought of an ancient one. Religion is the first and the last, the universal language of the human heart. Differing words describe the outward appearance of things. Diverse symbols represent that which stands beyond and within. Yet every person's hunger is the same, and heart communicates with heart. Ever the vision leads on with many gods or with one, with a holy land washed by ocean waters, or a holy land within the heart. In temperament we differ, yet we are dedicated to one august destiny. Creeds divide us, but we share a common quest. Because we are human, we shall ever build our altars, because each has a holy yearning. We offer everywhere our prayers and anthems, for an eternal verity abides beneath diversity. We are the children of one great love, united in our eternal family. And now let's take a moment to be quiet, to settle, and to come to ourselves. And you can do this in any way that will nourish you in this moment. Perhaps a silent prayer, a wish, a meditation. And if you wish, you can join me in this guided meditation. Come to your bodies. Be aware of your breathing. Be aware of how you are being supported by the chair, by the earth. And just notice your bodies as bodies now. And now check in with your deepest yearnings. You're yearning to be safe. You're yearning to be happy. You're yearning to be loved, to be healthy. And wish those things for yourself and for the people you care about. And for all those you don't know, but just understanding that those deepest yearnings are something we all share. And that's that which unites us. In this community, these yearnings are held with tenderness and love. Amen.
This song is very special because the lyrics were written on the occasion of the merger of the Unitarians and Universalists in 1961. But it still has relevance for us today. As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be
So Reverend Sean actually asked me to speak to you on this topic today. I've written a paper called The Death and Resurrection of Unitarian Universalism, and I presented that paper, among other places, to a gathering of Unitarian Universalist ministers. And in each of these places that I've presented the paper, I've asked for formal and informal responses for people to think about our future. I meant this to be a conversation. I hope it's going to be a wide conversation. And each time I presented this and heard the feedback, I've revised it. I presented this paper and these ideas because we need to have a clear look at what our future as congregations and as a movement will look like. And if current trends continue, by about 2035, 2/3 of our congregations won't exist anymore. And I'm not just pulling this number out of the air. There was a very, very comprehensive study done recently called Faith Communities Today 2020 by Hartford Seminary Research. They studied 15,000 faith communities. And here we're not just talking about Christian churches, but also every kind of spiritual community, faith community, mosques, synagogues, Unitarian Universalists, Mormons. Half of those, by accident, were studied before the pandemic, and the other half were studied in the early months of the pandemic, and that ended up giving valuable data. So here's what this study found. Of all those 15,000 faith communities, 2/3 are declining. And in the last 20 years, the median decline has been 50%, about half. In these 2/3 of the congregations that were studied, the average age was well over 60. And as you can imagine, older members means older leaders, and that means decline. These congregations have, however, been kept alive by generous donations and by generous volunteer efforts. But probably for each of these, the last 95 or 100-year-old person will die, and the congregation won't exist anymore. Unitarian Universalists were included in this study, but the data for them has not yet been broken out as far as I know. But it's easy to see how we too fit this trend. You know, most of our congregations, the average age is well over 60. In a startling statement, one of our denominational leaders, addressing a group of ministers, said, look, most of you are engaged now in a ministry of palliative care. A ministry of palliative care. So a congregation that is seriously in decline. So in medical terms, palliative care is not exactly like hospice. It's distinct. Palliative care is for people who have very serious conditions. And it's true that most of those people will die soon. But palliative care is moving from cure to paying attention to the quality of life. And because of that, often the survival is longer than expected. So what this metaphor tells me is that these congregations, even though their life may be limited, will continue to be a vital and cherished part of these older members' life. Now, there's good news too. 2/3. Well, what about the other 1/3? The other 1/3 of these congregations are actually thriving. They're growing, some growing quite rapidly. And the study has found that these thriving congregations across the board have quite a few characteristics in common. The first, and the one I think might be most important, is vital worship. This is worship that meets people's lived reality right now. It's worship that is emotional and passionate and brings about an emotional and passionate response. It recommends to people practices that they can use to live out in this difficult time. So that kind of worship that really grabs people where they live. These 1/3 of the congregations that are thriving are willing to innovate and change. That means that they're nimble. They can meet challenges and opportunities. And very important, they're not afraid to use a lot of technology. They almost all have outreach to the larger community. They're not just looking inward to themselves. There's some kind of outreach, some kind of ministry to the larger community. And the good news here is that this is where Unitarian Universalists excel. And here's a rather startling. The average age of these congregations is much younger than 60. There's a lot more kids. Well, that makes sense, right? But what surprised me the most was that the vast majority of these congregations are multiracial, okay? So that kind of surprised me. But after I thought about it, I realized that these two factors just go together intrinsically, because that's the larger society now. These congregations mirror the larger society. Younger generations are much more used to diversity. They are much more diverse. And the thing is that older generations are having trouble with the implications of this diversity. Older generations, my generations and older, are used to unconsciously seeing whiteness as the norm, and people who are not white as outside the norm. It's about not recognizing the experience as different for people who are not in the dominant group. And I've actually seen people trying to argue with younger members of color that their experience just can't be true. It just can't be true. And it's threatening sometimes to older people. Public Religion Research Institute has said that almost all decline among Christians in the United States is among white Americans. Actually, the study found that there's some positive potential as a result of the pandemic. Congregations that were reluctant to adopt technology found that they had to adopt technology. Congregations that were reluctant to change their worship style had to innovate, had to change their worship style. And many of them probably felt that that was maybe not such a bad thing. Now, let's talk about Unitarian Universalism. Many of our congregations are declining, but there's an exception: the South. Why is that? Well, they're red states. We're growing in the red states. And that's probably because that's where a lot of jobs are moving to, and people are moving to follow those jobs. Excuse me. And they find that they're threatened by the new social and political climate of intolerance that they find themselves in. And so they flock to our congregations as a place where they can meet people with like values. I hope that we can sustain this. But past history makes me wonder. After 9/11 and after Trump's election in 2016, people were flocking to our congregations. But very few of us were able to sustain this increase in participation. And I think it's because we weren't able to innovate and meet the needs of these new people. So for Unitarian Universalists, I think there are some questions we could look at. First of all, are we focusing a lot of our worship? We are focusing a lot of our worship on social justice issues. And that's fine. That's fine. It's who we are. But the question is, are enough of our worship services addressing people's lived realities in these very difficult times? Is it helping them navigate life right now? Is there enough good news in what we say from our pulpits? Here's another question. In our desire for high participation in decision-making, is it keeping us stuck in old ways too often? Not making decisions that would meet opportunities and challenges because we want to keep everyone happy? We can't keep everyone happy and have vital congregations. And I know this is not true of you guys. I know you guys well enough to know this is not true. But in our movement in general, in many congregations, there is a reflexive mistrust of authority. As former Unitarian Universalist Association Peter Morales said, we savage our leaders and call it democracy. I don't know if you all are aware of this, but this has been exacerbated in our congregations by the pandemic. There's all this free-floating anxiety during these pandemic times. And if there was discord or toxicity or bullying in the congregation, it just got worse. So much so that a lot of ministers left. They left, or they were asked to leave, which has created a great shortage right now of ministers. Some of our younger colleagues are even calling for a ministers' union, some place to go to bring workplace issues and grievances, which, how we do that with congregational polity. But the real question is, can we be nice to our ministers and protect them from bullies and from mistreatment? I said we need to have some good news, right? And I believe there's lots of good news. And it isn't even bad news that we will lose some congregations, because those congregations are vital and important to the people that are there. They're absolutely essential while they exist. And while there will be changes, they're going to mean everything to the people who are part of that. And that's not a bad thing. And a lot of our congregations will not only exist in the future, but will thrive. And some of them are right now. And some of them will thrive in ways that we cannot even imagine. And some of our vitality as a movement will actually take place in forms of ministry that are outside of congregations. I'm thinking a good example of this is Black Lives UU, Blue. This is actually a place online, virtually, and sometimes in person for Black Unitarian Universalists to meet, to have their spirits fed, to be understood, to be accepted, to have their unique needs ministered to. And it's been very successful. More things like that, more mission-oriented ministries are going to happen. And congregations will more and more about helping people of all ages be whole, compassionate, and thriving human beings, because that can only be done, I think, in a faith community. You know, your yoga class is not going to bring you a casserole when your grandmother dies. So there'll be opportunities, as there are in so many of our congregations, for people to meet in small groups. Those communities will have the vital capacity of presenting role models for how we should live. There will be programs that address the spiritual tasks of the different generations. And those congregations will be places where all are accepted, wounds and all. But we need to realize that all our customary assumptions and practices are up for grabs. Things that were just true for most of my ministry are just not true anymore. Everything has changed. And so we need the courage to experiment. And we need to not be afraid of failure, because innovation means sometimes there will be failure, and we learn from that, we try again. And we look around to see what are the successful innovations that are meeting these needs of creating whole human beings, not just in our Unitarian Universalist context, but in faith communities in general. We just need to know that the way we've always done things is a non-starter for congregational survival. When all is said and done, many of our congregations will be grounded in the deepest yearning of our members and stakeholders. We can listen to that which breaks our heart and respond wisely and compassionately, both for our members and friends and in the larger community. This is a great adventure that's deeply meaningful and fulfilling, and it's a lot more fun than the fake fights that we all too often engage in. It's what our faith and our faith communities are meant to do. May it be so.
All right. If you were here 10 years ago, you will remember singing this song practically every week for a while. We sang this before we moved to this site from a couple of miles away. And it was a very risky time for our congregation. We sold our building before we had a new building. Wow, we did that. Can you believe that? Whew, it worked out. But we all sang, we are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. And we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya. And woyaya just means, yeah. That's all it means. So please rise in body or spirit. And we're going to sing this anew with our new challenges that we have nowadays and going forward into our future. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all the funds for the operating budget, the ministries, and the programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by giving 1/2 of the plate we receive on Sundays with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are with Stand Up for Kids. I just wanted to point a little factoid out for you that $10 with them buys hygiene supplies, $50 with them funds a week of groceries for a hungry youth, and $500 provides 30 nights of shelter. So you wonder sometimes how that money gets spent, so there's a little micro rundown for you. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, you can use an app called Vanco Mobile, or you can use the basket. Yay for the basket. All the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity. wonder of music. How old is that piece of music? And yet I know all of our hearts were beating together on dum da dum, right? Oh. Okay, I love it. Yay, thank you. Now is the time when we honor the important events in our lives. You're invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, to participate in our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. So let's take a deep breath. Perhaps you come here today holding something close to your heart. Moments from the last days or hours that have struck you to your core. If you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you're a roomer, you're invited to come forward and light your candle. If you would like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it out on a slip of paper provided to you. Our ushers will hand you a piece of paper if you haven't already. And then they or you may hand it to me when you go to light your candle. If you're a Zoomer, you're invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. Once the roomers are done lighting the candles, I will read all of the joys and sorrows shared out loud as Lori Kluge lights a candle for the Zoomers. As music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Does anyone need more time to write? This is like an all-time first. Well, I do have some joys and sorrows to read, though. From Ralph M.H. Praise for Steve Moore Hero. He says, that's for sure. He says, my praises to Steve Moore Hero for all he does for our church and all he has done for me. All right. We're not saying if he does. Somebody said, for the Zoomers, somebody said, Steve, do you do anything wrong? Yeah. Online we have Laura G. is saying, happy birthday to my father, Paul, who turned 91 this week. Wow, yay, Paul. Hannah A. has, oh, good, okay, thank you. Starting to worry. Okay, a candle of joy. Hannah A says, a candle of joy for Casper the kitty, who needed a home and found me. So grateful to have him join my family and grateful for my other furry friends. A candle of joy for a happy birthday weekend for Maria G. Much of it spent with grateful friends. Big fun for all of us, and that was offered up by Sarah J. Yay, Maria, happy birthday. Melody D says, thank you for Zoom. And Sarah J also says, happy birthday to Catherine Osborne. Oh, Catherine O, trying to use initials. Our wonderful OCUC young adult and nursery caregiver. Happy 20th. Yay, woohoo! Craig and Linda S. are celebrating moving into their new home this weekend. Look forward to future auction events for the congregation. Yay! That's exciting. Phyllis K. has a candle of joy. To experience my former minister and fellow companion to pilgrimage in Transylvania. Wow. I dubbed mine Falstaff for creating joy in my heart. Good. And what else have we? That's it? Okay, I think that's it. Anything else over here? Okay. Let us hold in love. I got one. I'm very joyful to see Elizabeth K here, and I'm glad that she's done well after her excruciating surgery, and that everybody in this congregation has done so well to keep them fed. Check meal train, just in case there's still some appointments left. Yes? Yeah.
No, I think we're good.
You're good?
We can tap ourselves now.
Back to being a chef. Fantastic. Yay. Yay. Okay, everybody, that was great. Let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. Please join Lori Kluge in a spirit of prayer or meditation.
Spirit of love and light, make us strong in spirit, courageous in action, gentle in heart. Let us act in wisdom, conquer our fears and doubts, discover our own hidden gifts, meet others with compassion, be a source of healing energies, and face each day with hope and joy and love. Blessed be, amen.
I was told to be careful. Let us read together. We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet when we gather together, whether we are in the room or we are on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat if you're a Zoomer, or if you're a roomer, stand for a brief moment, tell us your name and where you're from. We'll bring you a microphone over, and that way the Zoomers can hear you too.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I don't like to draw attention to myself, but I am a visitor. My name is Jeff. I'm from the Bay Area. Nice to meet you all.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Hi, my name is Kim. I'm Taylor's mom, and thank you for always making us feel so welcome.
If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, that's everybody, right? We good? Okay. All right. Please contact us at hello@ocuc.org, and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out and we will help you get connected. I just found out that Steve, with the thanking Steve train that we're on, that he actually, when we started the Zoom thing, got together a team. How did I not know this? And reached out to people individually to make sure that if they needed help, that they got help. Nina Smith. Okay, beautiful. Just shout out to Nina Smith for the tech help. So the same holds true. If you find that today, for some reason, you're having trouble, just let us know. Someone, Nina Stevish, will go help out. Okay, now announcements. That's real thin for us, isn't it? Yeah, apparently we need more stuff going on. But we do have something really awesome going on, and that's Music Under the Stars. Now, we postponed that one from last season to this season. So if you bought that at auction, for those of you who understand auction, if you bought it at auction last in the fall, it's still good for this show. If you bought it in the spring, it's good for this show. If you didn't buy it at either because you didn't go to auction or don't know what that even is, it's a night where our congregants and guests do some singing for y'all. And so we would love to have you here. It's right out there at the courtyard. We do candlelight. The singers all bring all the food and the goodies and some snacks and hors d'oeuvres and such, and wine. And we would love to see you there because you know what? Singers need an audience. We just ask that you go ahead and donate $5 to the church and apply it to auction, and that'd be great. We'll help you with that too. And with that, I think that we will give it up to our lovely Dr. Straube to give us our benediction.
Love these words by Wendell Berry. The love and the work of friends and lovers belong to the task and are its health. Rest and rejoicing belong to the task and are its grace. Let tomorrow come tomorrow. Not by your will is the house carried through the night. So good to be with you all.
Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go out with joy. One more time. Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out with joy. This service is over. Let our service continue.
Woohoo!